বিরতির পর আবারও আপনাদের সম্ভাষণ জানাচ্ছি আমাদের কমিউনিটি ফোকাস অনুষ্ঠানে আয়ন টিভি বার্মিংহামের পরিবেশনায়। আমাদের মধ্যে আছেন দুজন অতিথি, ফারিহা এবং ডক্টর তরফদার। ডক্টর তরফদার, আপনি ব্রেকে যাওয়ার আগে একটা বিষয়, sorry, one of the matter you're talking about, could you please tell us about it, if you can continue with your whatever you were saying before? Yeah?
Sure. So I was just going to say that with Fariha's experience, I think it's a useful and very important point to make. So we treat diabetes, asthma as a chronic condition, something which you live with, which you get treatment for, and you can have relapses, you can improve, you can have relapses. So in some cases with depression, you asked is there a cure? So in some cases with depression, for example, or other mental health conditions, you'll get treatment, and then some people, they will improve and then they'll never have symptoms again. However, with a lot of people as well, they get treatment and then they improve, but as GPs, GPs would treat depression as a chronic condition, just in the same way that they treat asthma and diabetes. It's something which you should think of as potentially long-term, but there is treatment to help you with the depression and to cope with the symptoms.
But if you get treatment, you can cope with that.
Of course, yes. In the same way that if you use an inhaler, your asthma control improves. Yes, exactly. You understand?
Quality of life can be improved.
Exactly, quality of life and the actual symptoms themselves.
Now, Faria, as you have been helping your granddad, tell me, how do you see him after receiving the treatment? Whether there is any improvement or how is reacting to that?
I think it's what I touched on before, more so than the medicine and the tablets and antidepressants. I think what he's been responding to best is the support from the family. Initially, I think it was a case of trying to pinpoint the cause of it and trying to overcome that and trying to do it very quickly, in a sense. But I think over time we've come to realise that this is a long-term thing that is going to stick with him, and we have to find long-term solutions that are going to support him and give him the most comfortable life as possible, essentially. So I think I'm saying this again, but I think I'm stressing the importance of it, that family network and having that support system around you where they understand not only what you're going through, but where you need to, the place in your journey that you are at the moment, understanding that today was better than yesterday and you might get hurdles, but overcoming them hurdles as a family and support unit is the best thing. And I think that's what my granddad has been responding to the best, and I think if we carry on going down this road, we'll continue seeing successes in little things. Initially he never wanted to leave the house, but now we take him to Friday Jummah prayer. He'll go with my uncle, and if we look at a few years back, that would have been something that we never thought he would have done, but he's doing that weekly now. Interacting with his grandchildren. A few years back again, he'd stay alone, he'd be quite isolated, but now he is interacting with everybody really well. So I think that support has helped him massively, and we're seeing the benefits today.
Yeah. I think you mentioned Jummah prayer, praying in front of, doing namaz. It does help for your soul. At the same time, it's a physical exercise as well, isn't it? Because you have to do 12 the namaz. It's quite physically active as well.
Yeah, can I just add?
Of course.
I feel like in this community especially, the answer is prayer to a lot of things, and although that is spiritually healing and beneficial to the mind, I think just brushing aside that professional help would be wrong in many cases, not just only falling back on praying and looking to God, which is of course important in our community,
at the same time,
but also at the same time accepting that professional help as well. So I feel like it's a balance of the two. If you had let's say diabetes or you've had a heart attack, you wouldn't just focus on praying and looking to your creator, but accepting that medical and professional help, like
At the same time.
the doctor here is supporting many people.
And I'd just like to add to that, I'm Muslim myself,
Mhm.
and obviously prayer is very important to Muslims, and even if we were to just take, for example, a Muslim point of view, there, you know, mental health is a condition. It's, you know, you are encouraged to seek help for, you know, problems in your body,
Definitely.
like diabetes, like depression, like anxiety, and it's, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Definitely.
And I, you know, I'm sure it's the same for kind of Hindu religions, for Sikh religions, for other religions.
Yeah.
That, you know, and I think, as you mentioned, in my experience, kind of generally within the mental health framework, a lot of people in our community, they get help, not from healthcare professionals, but they might go to a religious leader, for example, and they might stay for years trying to get help from that person, but without actually getting professional help. And it's fine to be spiritual and encouraged, and it probably will help with your symptoms, but at the same time, you should really get some professional help.
One more thing. There's lots of, I've seen that people who suffer from mental health, especially depression, they go to the doctor asking for changing medication, what they want, and like, give me that medication, give me this not working, and things like that. What would be your advice to the people, or whether it is the right thing to prescribe the medication what patient want, rather than as a doctor what you think is the right thing for the patient?
Okay.
What would you say on that?
Okay. I think, first of all, if you're going to make any changes to medications, do it under professional help. So, under the guidance of the GP, the psychiatrist, that's the mental health expert. You know, often there will be nurses involved in the team. There might be a psychologist involved in the team. So really, it's my advice is whatever your suggestion might be, it should be put to a professional. So professional being the doctor, for example, or the psychologist, or the person that you're going to see who's a professional for the mental health problem. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating when you're on one medication and your friend might have had another medication, for example, and should I be having that actually? What I would say, there's usually quite specific reasons why you might be on one medication and your friend, for example, is on another medication, and that's usually because of there's evidence behind the different medicines that we prescribe, and we use them in certain situations, for example. So one medicine we might give for depression may be different to the medicine that we give for anxiety. So it's perfectly reasonable, if you're unsure, just ask the doctor or whoever is the professional involved in your care, just ask them kind of, do you think this would be a good idea? And if not, can you just give me some reasoning why? So please don't just stop a medication, change a medication without seeking professional help first.
Now, final question. Can we overcome the prejudice associated with mental health illness?
I think as a community we can, yes. I think traditionally mental health has been seen as, you know, somebody is so-called mad. It's not a real disease is another thing that people might experience in our community. And it's not given the same value as things like diabetes, but I think that is improving. I think in the second generation particularly, and so on and so forth, I think people are becoming more aware of the fact that mental health conditions like depression, like dementia, like anxiety, they are a condition in the same way that diabetes is, or a fractured bone is. But particularly things like a chronic condition like diabetes or asthma, something which is long term. I think we can reduce the prejudices by doing what we're doing today, just being open, talking about it, raising awareness, and for people that are aware in our community, we should, I think, try and endeavour to promote mental health to others. If you have a loved one, they might be a grandfather, they might be a father, mother, whatever, it might be a brother or sister. if you think that they've got symptoms of depression, I think it's perfectly reasonable just to try to support them sensitively if you think it's appropriate. Just ask if they need help. Make them realise that it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something that is a condition in the same way that diabetes is, and it's something that if you go to the GP, if you go to a professional, you can get help for as well.
Same question to you. What do you think?
I think definitely what the doctor has just said about talking about the issues, talking about it with your loved ones, with medical professionals. But I think on a less severe note, before we get to the stage of depression or anxiety, I think parents talking to the children about their feelings, when they come home from school, how was school today? What did you think about school? What's your opinion on this? Just promoting the idea of talking about your feelings instead of having it all hidden away and bottled up, I think would, do a massive service to the community, and it will help prevent, I think, many people from getting to that stage where it's all swept under the carpet and then it gets to the point where they're unable to cope. So taking it baby steps at a time, talking about their feelings, talking about things that they believe in, just promoting the idea of talking about yourself and getting everything out in the open, I think would be something that the community and individuals in general could take away from Mental Health Awareness Week in general.
Can I just add, just because you mentioned the word coping, I think it's just important to say at this point as well that it's quite common with a mental health condition, particularly for people to turn to things like smoking, alcohol, taking drugs, and again, you want to catch it before it gets to that stage. And actually, there is, we know that if you do regular exercise, for example, if you talk about your feelings, if you don't drink alcohol, if you stay away from drugs, those kind of things, it can be very beneficial for your mental health. And I think exercise is a really good one, not just for mental health, but just generally for your general health. It's so good.
Basically, having the meaningful conversation with anybody having that kind of symptom to get them out of that stigma and get them, seeking help and get better that way. দর্শক, কথা বলতে বলতে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানের শেষ পর্যায়ে চলে এসেছি। মেন্টাল হেলথ এটা একটা অসুখ। আমরা বলি এগুলো কি হইছে, সিলেটি ভাষায় এগুলো কি হইছে না, এটা বলবেন না। আপনারা যারা এই সমস্যাটা এক্সপিরিয়েন্স করছে তাদের সঙ্গে কথা বলুন, বুঝুন তাদের আসল সমস্যাকে। আপনি নিজেও যদি এই সিমটম যেগুলো আজকে আমাদের অতিথিরা আমাদের সামনে বললেন, আপনি যদি মনে করেন এই সিমটমগুলো আপনি সাফার করছেন, প্লিজ ডু নট ওয়েট, সি ইউর ডক্টর। আপনারা সময় ক্ষেপণ করবেন না, আপনার নিজের ডাক্তারের কাছে পরামর্শ নিন, ওষুধটা সম্পর্কে বুঝুন। আমাদের কাছে প্রচলিত প্রবাদ আমি প্রায় সময় আগে শুনতাম, এই তো শুকর অসুখ হয়েছে। না, এটা সুখের অসুখ নয়, এটা আসলেই অসুখ। এবং এই অসুখের জন্য যদি আপনি সাহায্য না নেন, তখন হবে কি এই সমস্যাটা আরও বড় হবে। বড় হতে হতে এক পর্যায়ে অনেকের আমি দেখেছি সংসার ভেঙে যাচ্ছে, চাকরি যাচ্ছে, ব্যবসা বাণিজ্য নষ্ট হচ্ছে, জীবনটা অতিষ্ঠ হয়ে উঠছে। যদি সময় মতো আপনি সাহায্য নেন, if you seek the help on time, you will get better. আপনাদের সবার সুস্বাস্থ্য কামনা করছি এবং আয়ন টিভি বার্মিংহামের পক্ষ থেকে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানটা দেখার জন্য সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে বিদায় নিচ্ছি। আগামীতে দেখা হবে।